Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Good morning, everyone. Sorry for being late. It's been a small problem. Okay, is everybody able to hear me? Okay, is everybody able to hear me? Okay, okay. I'll just start the class. Just take 5 minutes. Um, has everybody completed their assignments for yesterday, including the derivation of porosity for hexagonal and rhombohedral? Yeah, go with the latest edition, Girish. What I have given the page numbers is for the latest edition. And I have told you to read the porosity part in the Tariq Ahmed. Okay. No, I didn't ask about the questions. I told you to read the matter relating to porosity in Tariq Ahmed and the Abhijit Dandekar book. Okay. After completing the porosity topic, you can do the sums. Example 1 and 2. Yes, yes, yes. Example 1 and 2 in Tariq Ahmed. It is about porosity. Okay. Apart from that, has everybody completed the questions on hexagonal and rhombohedral derivation? Yeah, it's very important. Those are also. Okay, we'll just continue the today class. Yesterday, I think you can visit the yesterday class. In Dandekar book, it is written that dead pores should have considered in effective porosity, but in Dandekar, okay, Ayush, I will just see the book and get back to you on that one. Actually, as the dead pores does not contribute to the uh, production of oil and gas, I think it comes under effective porosity. Okay, but I will refer the textbook and I will get back to you tomorrow. Okay. Hmm? Start చేస్తా. Hmm. Okay, okay. Yeah, I think everybody has joined the class. Okay. Yesterday we have gone through what is porosity, what are the different types of porosity, that is classification of porosity, some applications of effective porosity, applications of effective porosity, and measurement of porosity. Okay, we have stopped at measurement of porosity. Let's get into it. Yesterday we have completed buoyancy method and fluid saturation method. Today we will continue with very important one, that is helium porosity meter. Okay, you just note down this part. This is very important. I'll just explain it to you. First, note down this one. Try to take notes as much as possible. Okay, and I think everybody has visited their account yesterday. Again, I have all the things that I have written on the board will be in PDF form, will be available on PDF form. So try to write down the notes only in PPT. You can revisit the white notes that has given in whiteboard in PDF form in your account. Okay, first complete, try to note down this one. Okay, let me explain what is helium porosimeter. It is called helium porosimeter, or it basically works on the principle that is Boyle's law. That is P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. Yeah, is everybody able to hear me properly? Is there any voice problem? I will take that as no. If there anybody has any voice problem or any other thing, try to sign out and sign in again. Okay. Okay, I will just start here. Okay. Don't worry, I will give time to write all the things. Yeah. Is everybody able to hear me properly or not? All students are. Yeah. I think the students who is having the problem regarding audio, try to sign out and sign in. Okay. I think it's the problem from your end. Okay. Today, let's go through helium porosity. Helium porosity meter. Okay. Yeah, I think is everybody able to hear me? Except Kalyan, I think everybody is able to hear me. The Kalyani, try to sign out and sign in again. Okay. And see if your audio is in mute mode or not. Yeah. No, no. Okay. Is everybody able to hear me? Try to, yes, sir. I think it's yes only. Okay, I will continue the class. If I'm not able to hear, if anybody is not able to hear me. Yeah, I think everybody is able to hear me. But the students who are having the problem, try to sign out and sign in again. Okay. Okay. Uh, okay. I think there is no problem with the sound. Yeah. Everybody, please be on hold for 1 minute. I'll just come back. Okay, I'll just continue the class. I'll continue the class. Okay. What is helium porosity meter? And how do we use it? And what are the basic essentials you require while using helium porosity meter? Actually, it is also known as gas porosity meter. Okay, I'll explain it to you. It is based on the principle of Boyle's law, where P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. Yeah, why we are basically using helium as the gas in the porosity is helium is a inert gas. I think some of the students are not able to hear me. Okay, I'll continue the class. It is not. It is an inert gas. It is not only an inert gas. It is the smallest inert gas. Why we are taking inert gas is because it does not react with the solid, that is core solids. It does not react with core solid, and it does not affect the pore spaces of the core sample. Okay, that is, it does not affect, inert gas does not affect, and it does not react with pore, that is solid of core sample. And not only that, as it is the smallest inert gas, it can go to the very smallest pore present in the core sample, and we can get an exact amount of pore space that is present in the core. That is, as it is very small, the helium is very small. It can, as helium is very small, it can go to the smallest pore spaces. And increasing the accuracy of the porosity of the core sample. So increasing accuracy of porosity of core sample. Okay, that is why we are using helium as a gas in the helium porosity meter. And how does it work? What basically it has is, it contains two chambers. Okay. There is a valve present in it. It is valve. In the second one, we have the core sample. This is the core sample. Firstly, it is not. Okay. This is box 1 and box 2. And initially, he had as a pressure 1. Both are of equal volumes. What we'll be doing is, we'll take two cases. Case 1, before opening the box, before opening the valve, before opening the valve. See, if we consider the box 2 is vacuum. In the first case, before opening the valve, it has P1 and it is a volume V. This is V. Okay, as this is under vacuum, there won't be any pressure. So consider there are n number of moles present in the box 1, n number of moles of gas. That means as per the law of conservation of mass, after opening the valve, the same number of moles should be present in both the boxes. As the box 2 is already a vacuum, the number of moles present in the box 1 will just expand into the number vacuum part in the box 2. So number of moles of gas in case 1, that is equal to PV by RT. So it will be P1V by RT. And if we take the, after opening the valve, the number of moles of gas will be constant, and it is taken as Number of moles of gas in 2 is equal to P2. Consider the volume in both the ones as P2 and V, sorry, it will be, let us consider it as V, VL by RT. After equating both the, as the number of moles in both the cases are equal, let us equate it. That is P1V is equal to P2VL. What do you mean by VL? VL is volume of this part plus volume of this part occupied by the gas. That is VL is equal to 2V minus volume of grain. Okay, it is P1V is equal to P2 2V minus V grain. See, actually, sometimes in helium porosity both the boxes sometimes does not have the equal volumes. So based on that, you have to apply the Boyle's law. Okay, yeah, here we are applying Boyle's law only. P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. So from this part, we can get V grain is equal to P1 by P2 V 2V minus V grain. That is V grain is equal to 2V minus P1 by P2 V. Okay, as we know the grain volume, and from normal cases, we can know the bulk volume of the core sample. Using grain volume and bulk volume, we can calculate pore volume. Through that, we will calculate porosity. Okay. I will try to explain it again. Just try to note down this one. See, this method relies on the expansion of helium gas. As the gas expanded into the core sample does not go to the isolated pores. Even helium porosity meter calculates effective porosity only. Okay. Try to remember this. However, since this little molecule it penetrates to the very much of smaller than that of the fluid. See, as I already explained, as the helium is very small inert gas, it penetrates into the smallest pore space present in the core sample. So it gives most accurate porosity of the core sample. Okay. See, remember this. What porosity measured by buoyancy or fluid saturation method is smaller than porosity measured by smaller or equal to, okay, it is important, smaller or equal to helium porosity method, helium porosity meter. Okay, try to note on this one. It employs Boyle's law. The helium gas is the reference cell isothermally expansion to the small sample cell. So this is the sample box one, that is I have told you, and this is box 2, the reference one. What we do is we will be expanding from here to here, from P1 to here. Okay, initially it will be P into V1 is equal to P2 into V1 plus V2 minus V grain. Okay, so maximum number of cases both the sample chambers, both the chambers have equal volumes. Okay, sometimes it does not. Try to remember this. Okay, if you go to the next part, yeah, this is very important. Note on this one. Yeah, as I already told you, why we are using helium as a gas in gas porosity meter, that is helium porosity meter. Small molecules rapidly penetrate the small pores. Yeah, that's the first thing. It is inert and does not absorb or react with the solid part of the core sample. Okay. Helium has high diffuse. Helium can be considered as an ideal gas. Okay, for pressures. Yes. Yeah, that's very important. The third point also is very important. It is an ideal gas, and you don't need to take the Z value, that is compressibility factor, into account. Okay, helium can be considered as an ideal gas for pressures employed in the test. Okay, this is also very important. See, if I am going fast, please let me know, and don't forget to write down this one. Okay. Take your own time. Okay, we'll be going very slow. No. Girish, it does not give overestimation of porosity, but it gives most accurate, that is correct. When compared with the buoyancy method, where we will use water, the water does not penetrate into the smallest pore spaces present in the core sample, whereas helium penetrates into it, but it goes all to the smallest pore spaces. Okay, you can say it is not an overestimation, but it gives the most accurate. When we take a core sample and find porosity using buoyancy or saturation method and porosimeter, that is helium porosimeter method, the helium porosimeter method will give more value than the fluid saturation and buoyancy method. Okay. And yeah, it's a small molecule rapidly. Try to remember these things. Means it's not don't try to mug up it, but just understand what will be going on. See, here we will be using Boyle's law. Its principle is Boyle's law. That is P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. This can be used when N and T are same. N are constant, and can be used only for ideal gases. So that is Z also should be, that is Z has to be 1 or constant. It cannot be constant when changing from pressures to pressure, because Z depends on pressure. So Z, when applying Boyle's law, P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2, it should be an ideal gas. So most ideal gas present in the periodic table is helium, that we can use. Okay, so it can be used as an ideal gas. Okay, and the fourth point, helium has high diffusivity and therefore affords usable means for see, what happens is, if the permeability of the rock is very low, the liquid cannot go into all the pore spaces present in the core sample. Okay, whereas as the helium has very high diffusivity, it can go into, see, helium has high diffusivity, it can go into any part of the pore space, and can also be used for low permeability rocks. When suppose if you take a core sample of very low permeability, the most accurate method for determining porosity for the core sample having low permeability is helium porosimeter method when compared with remaining methods, that is fluid saturation, buoyancy, and all the other methods I will be teaching next. Okay, so one of the most accurate method is helium porosimeter method. Yeah, I think everybody has noted on this one. Let's go into the next part. Yes. Yeah. Actually, my derivation is somewhat different from here. If you want, you can use this. See, Boyle's law is applicable. Try to note on this one. Yeah, and remember this: the gas does not go into the isolated pore spaces. Okay, so we are calculating here the effective porosity, not total porosity. Okay. See, before I have taken P2 as vacuum. Sorry. Yes, P2 as vacuum and P as P2. Okay. Sometimes actually a helium porosimeter can be used different types. That is, they can have a vacuum chamber, or they can have a reference chamber or a sample chamber. Okay. The one I have explained is for the vacuum chamber. Sometimes the P2 will be taken as vacuum and will be done like this. Okay. I think you can understand the thing I'm trying to say. See, here what we have done is there is a chamber here and there is a chamber here. In the first thing I have explained, thus in the first thing I have explained, this has gas and this is vacuum chamber. Consider this as a reference chamber. When see, don't try to remember this formula. Try to go to the method. Okay. In the before where I have explained it to you, after expansion of the gas, we can know the grain volume. Here also we are calculating the grain volume only. Okay. Based on that question, you should use the formula. Actually, this is not the formula here. This is not this formula cannot be used for every question, every helium porosity question. Okay, it can be used only for this case where one is sample chamber and the other one is reference chamber. Okay, they are starting with sample chamber. Okay, try to know the procedure, how we are doing it. Okay, P1, that is the initial, where the initial gas is present. This is before opening the valve. And what will happen after opening the valve? After opening the valve, see, it is P1, P2. After opening the valve, what is the total? This before opening the valve, P1, and this is, consider this V1 and V2. This is V1, and that is equal to, if we consider, if this is not vacuum and it has some other gas rather than helium, consider it is having air, so it will have somewhat some pressure. Consider it atmospheric pressure or any other thing. It will have P2 and V2. Okay. When we compare with this one, it has, consider the total pressure present in the whole box is P. It is P into V1 plus V2 minus grain volume. Okay. Based upon the question that it is given to you, you should solve the, you should use the formula. Don't try to mug up this formula. Okay. Try to understand the question. Okay. Here, based on, by equating this, P1 V1 plus P2 V2 is equal to P into V1 plus V2 minus V grain. From this we can calculate V grain. V1 V1 plus P2 V2 divided by P V1 plus V2 minus. Okay. Based upon the formula you have to use. Okay. I think everybody have noted on this one. Let's get into the next part. Yeah. Remember this, the helium porosity meter is the most accurate one, and try to understand the process and how we are determining the grain volume using Raj Krishna cycle. You are not able to hear anything. Yeah, so many of students are this problem. Yeah, Raj Krishna, try to sign in and sign out again. Sign out. Okay. There must be a problem on your end. Try to do it. Okay, okay. I think let's go to the next one. Yes, mercury porosity meter. Yes, yes. First, note down this point. Note down this one and explain it to you. This is similar to the saturation one, and it will actually easy. What we will be doing is we will be injecting mercury into the core sample. We will be injecting mercury into core sample, and the amount of, yeah, okay, if any of the students is having problem in this derivation, they can live chat again. I will explain it again. Okay. Does any of the student have any problem with the derivation? Yes or no? I will explain the whole thing again. Helium porosity meter. Okay, try to use live chat if yes or no. Okay, no means I will just try to do it again. If you didn't understand the derivation of the helium porostometer, I will explain it to you again. Okay, I'll just explain it to you again. Many of the students are asking. See, the helium porostometer method has different. It can be derived based on the question only. Okay, if we take question as here, where both the chambers have gases, we have to use this method. That is P1 V1 plus P2 V2. That is the total number of. See, I'll use. Okay, I think everybody has understood this one. Where one we have taken one as vacuum. Let's take this one. Consider the two chambers. This is chamber 1. Consider the chamber 1. This is sample chamber and this is reference chamber or any other thing. Don't give, it is having a valve here. A valve here, and we consider there is a core here. Consider here we are having helium gas. Consider we are having air here. And initially P1 is the pressure of this sample chamber and V1 is the volume. P1 and this is P2 V2. See, number of total number of moles of gas present in both the chambers is equal to, we know that N is equal to PV by RT. Okay. Number of moles of gas present in sample plus number of moles of gas present in reference, that is equal to P1 V1 by RT plus P2 V2 by RT. Okay, let's take this case 1. What we have done is initially the sample chamber has helium, whereas the reference chamber, which has the core sample, has air. What we are doing is the total number of moles of gas present in both the volumes, both the chambers, is equal to the number of moles of gas present in sample chamber plus the number of moles of air present in the reference chamber. Number of moles of gas present in sample chamber is given by P1 V1 by RT, and the reference chamber is P2 V2 by RT. Let's take the case 2. Okay, suppose in case 2, what we are doing is we are opening the valve. See, don't try to remember this formula. Go through the process. Okay, actually the base for porostometer, helium porostometer, the questions are different. This is having the core sample of Vg as V grain volume. Okay, now we have opened the valve, and after the pressure has been equalized, that is the entire sample chamber plus sample chamber and the reference chamber has a pressure of P, and we know this is V1 and V2. If we calculate the total number of moles of gas after equalization is equal to N is equal to PV by RT. That is P, and V is the volume of gas occupied in the chamber. That will be V1 plus V2 minus V grain divided by RT. After, as I already told, we will be expanding the gas and no extra gas is coming from the outside environment. Okay. So after equating, we will get P1 V1 plus P2 V2 is equal to P into V1 plus V2 minus Vg, where Vg is grain volume. Okay. By using this grain volume and by using the known methods, we will find the bulk volume. Okay. We will calculate porosity, that is pore volume. Bulk volume minus grain volume. Porosity is equal to pore volume divided by bulk volume. So this is the process of determining the porosity using helium porosimeter. Actually, this is only for one case where the gas, uh, where one of the chamber is not a vacuum. Okay. What you will do is I'll give an assignment to you. Try to note down this question. Consider this as an assignment. Yes. V1 plus V2 minus Vg is pore volume, right? No. V1. What is V1? V1 is the volume of the chamber. Okay. See. V1 is volume of this chamber and V2 is volume of this chamber. And if we subtract grain volume from those two, we will get, I will show you what is V1 plus V2 minus Vg. I will show you what is V1 plus V2 minus Vg is this area. And some spaces occupied. This is pore, consider this pore spaces. This is the V1 plus V2 minus Vg. Expect. Okay. What is P1 and P2? I have already explained it to you. The P1 is pressure in this chamber. Okay. Pressure in the sample chamber. And P2 is the reference, which has only air. Okay. Whereas P is after equalization. When we open the valve, pressure will be decreased as gas has been expanded, and in equal pressure will be on whole of the chamber. That is this. If we see here will be P, here will be P. This is the pressure in this chamber. If you take as a whole, okay. What I will be doing is I will giving an assignment. Try to solve this one tomorrow. Consider we have a chamber. You do it yourself tomorrow. Okay. Almost same as the we are calculating the volume occupied by gas, which includes P1 and P2 and the bulk volume of sample. Yes. We calculate the volume occupied by gas. Yes. Wait a minute. What we are doing is, I think I have explained it to here. We are calculating the grain volume using Boyle's law. Okay. What we are doing is, after expansion of the gas, the pressure will be equalized and the on an equal P will be formed here. Okay. I think if anybody has still any doubts, I will explain from the top again. Okay. Yeah, bulk volume. Yeah, bulk volume is generally calculated outside only. We'll use the scale. You will use a scale to find the bulk volume. We'll use generally a scale. See, generally a core will be cylindrical in shape. Okay. We will use diameter and the length. We will use a particular scale and find the diameter and length. From this, we will calculate the bulk volume. Okay. Okay. For tomorrow, try to solve this question. Consider this gas. This is V1. There are two chambers. Yeah, Rajkrishna, I will explain it to you at the last. Okay, actually, this is taking very, very long time. I will explain it to you in the last. At the last, after everybody will leave, I will explain it to you again. Okay. Okay. Try to take this assignment. Okay. Consider this is a core sample. And initially it is filled with helium gas and having a pressure V1. And this is vacuum. Okay. After opening the valve, see, after opening the valve, this is V1 and this is V2. The pressure has been equalized to P. Okay. Initially, the core, the core chamber, the core chamber has been filled with helium gas and it has a core sample. After opening the valve, the pressure has been equalized to P. Find the pore volume. Okay, this is your assignment for tomorrow. Note on this question. See, initially I'll just explain it to the question. I won't give any question via writing. But see, initially there are two chambers. One is the sample chamber. This is sample chamber and this is reference chamber. The sample chamber has a gas, that is helium gas, along with the core sample. Okay, you know the bulk volume of the core sample, and the second reference chamber is filled with vacuum. After opening the valve, the pressure has been equalized to P. Okay. Now using this data, find the porosity. Okay, this is your assignment. Actually, by using Boyle's law, means try to this is not the same as the question I have mentioned above or the vacuum one on the top. This is different. Try to do this assignment yourself. Okay, so you can understand it better yourself. Okay, let's go to the next one. It has taken very long time here. Okay, mercury porosimeter. See, if I am going too fast, please tell me. Okay, try to note on this one. See, what we will be doing in the mercury porosimeter. We will inject mercury into the core sample. We will be injecting mercury into the core sample. The volume of mercury injected, volume of Hg. Wait a minute. See, volume of Hg is equal to pore volume of core sample. Okay. What we will be doing is we will take a core sample. We will using high pressure pump. We will be injecting mercury into the core sample. Okay. After injection of mercury into the core sample, the amount of mercury we injected into the core sample is equal to pore volume of the core sample. Okay. Using this, we will calculate the porosity. Okay. This is mercury porosimeter. And remember this, as we will be applying pressure using pump, it cannot be used on sandstones because it may break the sandstones. So we will use this method only on hard rocks, very hard. See, when a rock has been small fraction of water, it is difficult to measure porosity by the mentioned methods. Mercury injection, the principle consists of forcing mercury under relatively high pressure into the rock pores. A pressure gauge is attached to the cylinder for a reading pressure, which is measured fluid into the pores. How do we know that the volume of Hg is injected? See, we will be injecting pressure into mercury into the core sample, but we don't know when the mercury will the maximum amount of pore space is filled. So what we'll be doing is we'll be taking a graph pressure versus mercury. See, as the pressure is increases and we increase the pressure at a particular pressure. If there is a sudden increase in pressure, see, as will be increasing, it is same as the leak of test, similar to the leak of test present in drilling engineering, where the pressure versus Hg, Vg into Hg. As we inject the mercury into the core sample, it has to be the straight. As we increase, the pressure should increase. If there is a sudden uptick, it means we have completed all the pore spaces. So this is the graph, and try to remember this. The amount of mercury injected is equal to the pore space present in the core sample. Okay, yeah, and these are even mercury porosimeter also measures the effective porosity, as it does not, as the mercury won't go into the isolated pore spaces. Okay. Okay, I will continue. I will go to the next one. See, effective pore volume is equal to volume of mercury injected. Yes. Yes, yes. Let's take to some time. Rock density method. See, okay. First, note down this one. I'll give some time. Note down this one. This Ayush, that is a Ayush. Is that the assignment I have given you? Actually, that is wrong. Answer is wrong. Try to do it again and send me the picture via WhatsApp. I will see. I will see after the class. Okay. Try to note down this one. Actually, this is also very good one, and majority of the numericals are from this method also. Actually, this is very easy method. It is based on density is equal to mass by volume. Density is equal to mass by volume. Okay. It is based on this formula. We will go through it. First note on this one. See. Okay, I will explain it to you here. Okay. Rock density method. See, what we will be doing here is we will take a dry core sample. We will take a core sample. Using the known methods, we will find the bulk volume. Okay. And after drying the core sample, we will wait it, that is wait to dry. We will consider the whole core to be a uniform rock, that is either limestone. See, it may be either sandstone, limestone, or dolomite. Okay, we will consider it as a single rock, that is not a conglomerate. So we know the density of rock. From this, both density is equal to mass by volume. Mass by volume, that is volume of grains. That is grain volume is equal to Wt dry divided by density of rock. Now we know the grain volume. Grain volume we know, and we know bulk volume. Using these two, we will find pore volume. That is equal to bulk volume minus grain volume. Roast is equal to pore volume divided by bulk volume. Okay, actually this is very easy method. It is based on density is equal to mass by volume. And try to remember this also. This matrix density are somewhat important, and try to just remember it because it is also useful in well logging. Okay, if you start remembering from now, it will be easy for you to remember in well logging or any other thing. You don't have to remember again. One of the things you have to remember is the conversions part, the 6 conversions I have given you, and the matrix densities. I think everybody has noted on this one. If not, see it here. Okay, try to do this question. Try to do this question yourself. Okay, try to do this question and place your answer in the live chat button. Try to do this question. I will be back right now. Okay, has everybody completed the question? Try to do it. It is based on rock density method only. Yes. Try to give your answer in the live chat button. Take your time, no problem. Be here only. Yeah, here Vg means grain volume, and void percentage means the porosity in percentage. Okay. See, try to refer the conversions I have given you. To solve this question, you have to know the conversions. Okay. Weight conversions and the volume conversion. And try to remember the whole conversions as it will be helpful rather than checking it. Has anybody completed it? Well, if there is any problem, I'll explain it to you. No problem. Just try to do one time yourself. Oh, unit. Wait a minute. I don't know. I think so. Wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. Inch cube. Yeah, the grain volume unit is inch cube. Inch cube. Try to do this yourself. So no problem. If you want, I will give you the conversions. It is 1 barrel is equal to 42 gallons is equal to 5.61 feet cube. It is 1 feet is equal to 12 inch. Use and density of water in PCF is equal to 62.4 in PCF. In PPG 8.33 ppg. Okay. You have to remember all these things. B. Good. Any other? Take your own time, no problem. Okay. Let's get here. Let's calculate bulk volume. That is pi by 4 d square L. That is pi by 4. The d is 2.4 inch whole square into 20 inch. That is directly in inch cube. So calculate it using 2.5 2.4 whole square into 20 into 5 divided by 4. That is, we get 90 inch cube, 90.5 inch cube. Okay. Let's calculate the grain volume. Grain volume is equal to weight dry divided by density of rock. Okay, weight dry is given as 6.1 pounds. Let's use this formula, 62.4 PCF, that it will be in feet cube. If 6.1 divided by 62.4, we get 0.097756. We know that 1 feet equal 12 inch, that is into 12 cube. Feet equal to 12 inch. Yes. See, what I have done here is into 2.6. I forgot into 2.6. 2.6 into 62.4. We are converting it into PCF. 6.1 divided by 2.6 divided by 62.4 into 12 cube. We get 64.9 inch cube. Okay. What we have done is density of weight in dry, that is 6.1 pounds. Density of rock, that is specific gravity into density of water. The specific gravity of dry sand is 2.6. The density of water in PCF is 62.4. If we that is, we will get it in feet cube. 1 feet equal to 12 inch. That is 64.9. We know grain volume and we know bulk volume. Porosity is equal to 1 minus grain volume by bulk volume. We will get answer is B only, right? 28%. Okay. Let's do the next question. This is based on the mercury displacement method, and it's actually an easy one. Note down this question. See, our answer is B. The before question answer is B. Note down this question. See, if any other student has any doubts in the before question, they can ask me via the live chat or the raise hand button. Okay, I will explain it to you again, no problem. So what is this, Rajesh? You're doing that question. Yeah. Don't worry. I will. If you can do it an assignment today and submit it to me tomorrow. Do the whole process and submit it to me. Okay. I will explain it to you tomorrow. Okay, the assignment. Actually, I think that is wrong. I'll explain the question tomorrow. Okay, along with some other questions, along with other porosity questions. Okay. Actually, for tomorrow there is some big. I'll give an assignment where you have to solve some questions, and we will discuss the questions tomorrow. Okay, don't worry. Okay, answer is C. One is saying the answer is C. Any other student? Come on, try to do it. No, even if it is wrong, no problem. You can do it again, and I will explain it to you. Okay. See, try to solve the question. The grain volume of rock sample of, they have given the grain volume. Grain volume, that is equal to 56.24 cc. See, if I am going too fast, or if you are unable to write down everything in the PPT, don't feel shy to ask me. I will just stop there, or I will go back. It won't be any problem. Okay. That they have given the grain volume as 56.24. And the bulk volume of the sample using the mercury displacement method was measured as 73. Okay. Bulk. See, this is mercury displacement method, not the mercury injection method. There are some methods to find the bulk volume. Okay. Bulk volume is given as 73.80 cc. They have given dry weight, WT dry is equal to 149. We don't need mercury density of mercury. What they have asked is the grain density. Okay, it is actually very easy question. 0.88 grams. Sorry, actually the grain density is in gram per cc. I forgot to tell you. See, they have given WT dry and they have given bulk volume. They have asked is density of grain. Density of grain is equal to WT dry divided by grain volume. Okay, it is 149.88 divided by what is grain volume? 56.24. If you solve that, 149.88 divided by 56.24. Answer is 2.66 gram per cc. 2.665, yes, 2.665 gram per cc. So the answer is C. Okay, what they have given C? They have given the dry weight of the core sample and they have given the grain volume. We know that, so and they have asked for grain density. Density is equal to mass by volume. Mass of the volume is 49.88 grams and volume of the grains is 56.24. Using both given data, we will calculate density of grains. Okay, this is a very easy question. I think everybody has noted on this question. See, the answer is B. Oh, sorry, it is wrong here. Answer is C. Okay, density is equal to mass by volume. Volume is the grain volume. Yeah, try to do this question right now. Determine the total porosity of sample when the grain density is 2.67 gram per cc. Weight of the dry sample in air is 20 grams. The bulk volume of the sample is 9.9 cc. Calculate the total porosity. Try to solve this question. Try to study the question and see what is the given data and what is the data you can use. Don't think that you have to use all the data present in the question. Sometimes you can use the only a certain amount of data in the question and solve the question. Okay, you don't need to use all the data in the given question. Sometimes they just want to trick you into thinking that the remaining data is very useful also. So they will give very high amount of data. Okay, first try to solve this question. I'll tell you, this is based on rock density method. Rock density method. Okay, answer is B. Answer is B. Okay. Okay, I'll just explain it to you. Grain volume is equal to WT dry divided by density of rock. That is equal to given 20 grams and 2.67 gram per cc. By that we'll get divided by 2.67 divided by 2.67. We get 7.49 cc. That is grain volume. They are given bulk volume as 9.9 cc. Core volume is equal to bulk volume minus grain volume. That is 9.9 minus 7.49. That is minus 9. 2.4. So porosity is equal to 2.4 divided by 9.9. 0.4 divided by 9.9. 24.24 percentage. Okay, the answer is B. Yeah, I think this is a very easy question. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, try to solve this one. When we complete porosity chapter, everybody has to be comfortable with porosity. And if any question comes in examination regarding porosity, or if you read any book and try to solve any question regarding porosity, you have to able to do it. Okay, try to study the question, see what they have given, and try to find either bulk volume or pore volume, or the grain volume by your known methods. Remember, there are actually, one is fluid saturation method. The second one is uh, helium porosity meter, which use Boyle's law. One is Archimedes principle. One is density is equal to mass by volume. See, you have to remember this one. P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2, or either density is equal to mass by volume, or buoyancy factor. That is Wt saturated is equal to Wt dry minus buoyancy factor. That is, sorry, buoyancy factor not, that is a buoyancy force. Buoyancy force is equal to grain volume into density of fluid into G. The G will be cancelled. You for solving of porosity, you just need to know these three. P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2, density is equal to mass by volume, and this question. That is buoyancy formula. Yeah, try to this question. This is actually a very easy question. Just don't remember the names of it, but remember the process or how we are doing it. That is, one density is equal to mass by volume, P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2, and Wt saturated is equal to weight dry minus buoyancy force. Okay, CC. See, from next time, if you are attending the class, try to have a calculator nearby so you can solve the questions fastly. As porosity is very small topic and the questions are also easy, it will be easy to solve using without any calculator. But from next, the permeability part, the questions are long and it will take some time, and the calculations are somewhat lengthy. So better keep a calculator nearby and try to use gate calculator more, because you have to be able to use the gate calculator in examination. Okay, try to use gate calculator and via your phone. Yes. Okay, let me tell you how it is. See, calculate the weight in 10 to dash into 10 to the power 6 for given bulk volume of bulk volume is 1 meter cube, and porosity is 0.14, and density of grain is equal to 2.65 gram per cc, and what they have asked is Wt dry. See, Wt from density is equal to mass by volume. Wt dry is equal to density of grain into grain volume. We know density of grain, so we have to find grain volume. Bulk volume is equal to pore volume is equal to bulk volume into porosity, that is 0.14 meter cube. If you subtract this one with bulk volume, we get grain volume. Grain volume is equal to bulk volume minus pore volume, that is equal to 1 minus 0.14. It is equal to minus 0.14. 1 minus 0.14. 0.86 meter cube. So that is 2.65 into 0.86 meter cube. See, what we are happening is the 2.65 is in gram per cc, but this is in meter cube. Use the conversion I have given you. 1 meter equal to 100 centimeters. That everybody will know. That is 2.65 into 0.86. 2.279 gram per cc into meter cube. If you can see, you can, without using the conversion, you can know the answer, because 10 to the power 6 will be used by the conversion rate. So the answer is C. Okay, try to use the data and try to go from basics. For porosity question, you have to use these three only. So yes, this is the last method. Last method for porosity determination. Porosity determination. Okay. Yeah. Try to note on this question. Try to note on this the theory we have given in PPT. What we will do is we'll take a core sample from the whole core, and we'll, without drying it or without cleaning it, what we'll do is we'll extract all the oil, gas, and water present in it, present in the core. Okay, and we will add it, which will equal to pore volume. And we, by known methods, we will know the bulk volume. Okay, so that is pore volume by bulk volume. What we'll do is, after taking the core from the subsurface, we will directly measure the amount of oil present in it by extracting all the fluids present in the core. We will extract all the fluids present in the core, and we will separately measure volume of oil, volume of gas, and volume of water. After adding all the three, that is pore volume is equal to volume of oil plus volume of gas plus volume of water. Okay, we will know the pore volume, and by using known methods, we'll find the bulk volume. Through that, we'll get porosity. Try to note on this one. That's the main thing. The volume of the extracted oil, gas, and water are added to obtain the pore volume, and hence the core porosity. Okay, this is the known method. Actually, the fluid summation method is also used to find the saturation also. Saturations of the oil, gas, and water. We will talk about it in the saturation part. For now, remember it. How do we calculate pore volume? We'll just add volume of oil extracted plus volume of gas extracted plus volume of water. Okay. I think everybody has noted down this one. Okay. Yes. As I think I already told you, there are actually two methods for calculation of porosity. Measurement of porosity. There are two methods. One is surface methods, that is core analysis. The methods are, one is fluid saturation method. Saturation method. The second one is buoyancy method. The third one is helium porosity meter. Porosity meter. The fourth is mercury injection method. The fifth one is rock density. The sixth one is fluid summation method. Fluid summation. We'll add all the things. Oil, water, and gas. Okay. Right now we have completed this one, and right now we'll talk about what are subsurface methods. That is basically well logging. There are actually several logs which measure porosity. Neutron log. 2 is density log. 3, let me go through it. Then neutron gamma log, acoustic log. See, several well logging tools are present, and these are the main things that are used for measurement of porosity subsurface. Okay, try to note on this one, and we will study these methods in well logging only. Okay, how we will calculate it and all the other things, we'll study it in well logging. Try to note on this one. As I already told, this method of porosity evaluation is not very accurate when compared with the core analysis method. Okay, but one of the advantage of subsurface method is it will use continuous porosity data. Okay, from top of the well to the bottom of the well, it will use the porosity on every length, that is every depth of the well. That's the only advantage of it, but the accuracy is not very good when compared with the core analysis. Okay, I think you have completed this one. We'll study the what is this, the flow formation resistivity factor, and what is micro resistivity log, neutron gamma log, density log, and acoustic log in well logging. Okay, but remember what are the logs that uh, that is used to find the porosity. Okay, okay, let's go to the next part. Yeah, we'll go. Finally, we will go to the types of porosity. Apart from the classification I have told you, there are actually several other porosity present in it. We'll go one by one, and you no need to write down the things you have known. Just try to note down these definitions. Okay, I think I have already explained to you what is total porosity. Total porosity is the ratio of total pore volume present in the core sample to the bulk volume of the core sample. Okay, including isolated pores, dead pores, and the connected pores. That is total porosity. That is connected porosity, or it is also known as effective porosity. Also known as effective porosity. Okay, it 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 is related to the pore volume that is connected. Okay, these two, and the pore spaces related to the isolated one is known as ineffective porosity. Okay, I'll just go fastly. I think we have already discussed this. And the isolated porosity or ineffective porosity. It is also known as residual porosity also. Ineffective porosity. Related to the dead pores, the isolated pores, and all the other things. It is also known as residual porosity or ineffective porosity. The primary porosity related to the original deposition, basically in sandstones. The primary porosity. We have discussed this, that is based on deposition environment. Deposition environment. The porosity of the rock resulting from the original deposition. Okay, the secondary porosity resulting from the diagenesis or any other geological process. Okay, diagenesis and geological processes. Subsurface geological process. Subsurface geological process. Okay, that is fractured rock, fractures, wugs, all the dissolutions, and all the other things. Yeah. This is very important. Okay, from here we have not discussed what is microporosity. Okay, see, try to first note down this definition. It's very important. I'll explain it to you what is microporosity. Note down this one. Okay, try to note down this one also. Right now I'll explain to you what are macropores and micropores. See, if you take a rock, if you take a formation or any rock, we have grains. Okay, we have grains. Right now, this is a grain, this is a grain, and this is a grain, this is a grain. This is pore volume. Okay, this is pore volume. This is known as the pore space related to these pores is known as porosity. What happens is generally these pore volume are actually occupied by some of the other grains. See, if you can see here, there are occupied some other grains present in the formation, very, very small ones. And these small grains will have very small amount of pores between them. See, These are the three grains. Between them, there are other small grains. And between these small grains, there are very small pores present in them. Those are called micropores. Generally, these pores are having a diameter of less than 2 micrometer. Okay. What are micropores means? They are having less than 2 micrometer. That is, they are present in the grains of the pores. These are the grains, and these are some of the small rocks present between the grains, and the pore volume of that grains are called micropores. You can see here, these are micropores. And the porosity related to these micropores is called microporosity. Okay. These are present in generally determined an authentic place. That is actually a geological term. You don't need to remember that things, determined authentic clay, but you have to remember what is microporosity. It is related to the porosity between the small grains. Okay, I think you have noted on this one. Okay, possible pathway between micrograins. Okay. Then what is intergranular porosity? Actually, this is the porosity related to the carbonates. Intergranular porosity, the porosity due to pore volume between the rock grains. I think nobody is able to, okay, everybody is able to see. This is rock grains, and this is intergranular between the grains, similar to the sandstones I have explained earlier. In carbonate rocks, actually, apart from grains, there are actually other composition of various other things present in the rock. There won't be only grain part, but also mixing of cementation and all other things. Okay, intergranular is between granulars. In sandstone, the size of the grains will be very small, whereas in carbonate, it will be somewhat big. The porosity between the grains is called intergranular porosity. Okay, this porosity. And what is mean by intragranular? I think you can see here in carbonate rocks. See, these are the grains. Between these grains, it is known as intergranular or interparticle. What do you mean by inter? I think you know the difference between inter and intra. Intra means inside. See, in colleges or university, there are intra sports festival or intra sports where it will be inside a college members only. If there is inter sports festival, it means from different colleges. Okay. Inter sports or intra, you have to know difference between them. Intragranular porosity is inside the pores. Inside the grains. This is the grain. Inside it, there are very small number of pores. That is intragranular or intraparticle. The granular and particle are actually the same part. Try to remember this thing. What is the difference between inter and intragranular? For in universities, we'll use these terms mainly. Intra means inside the university. Suppose if you take a university, they have mechanical, civil, and various other branches, right? If there are competition between these four in a cricket match, it means it is a intra college sport. If one team is from college A and the other team is from college B, if there is a cricket match between both the teams, it means there is a inter cricket match. Okay, you have to know the difference between inter and intra. Okay, mainly in carbonate rocks. And dissolution porosity. When any rock comes in contact with the fluid, the rock will be dissolved. Okay, and there will be a layers formed in the matrix. Suppose in here there is a solution channel formed due to the dissolving of the fluid with the rock. These are the porosity, the pore volume related to the dissolution is called dissolution porosity. Okay, this is dissolution pores. Okay, go to the next one. The fracture porosity. After any of the rock has fractured, there will be a pore space between them. Okay, if you can see here, this is the pore space, and the pore space related to this fracture is known as fracture porosity. Okay, the porosity resulting from fractures in the rock at all scales is called fracture porosity. Okay, try to remember these porosities, the difference between them. And mainly you will have a problem in inter and intragranular or interparticle. Okay, yes. These are some of the other things related to the carbonate rocks. In carbonate rocks, the porosities of there are some other porosities that are defined it. First we'll come to intercrystal that is micro porosity existing in intercrystalline boundaries along the carbonate rocks. I think you have explained the micro porosity, right? The micro pores along the in carbonate rocks, as I already told, there will be a grain part and there will be a crystalline part. That is, we come with cementing crystals. And inside these crystals, there will be some porosity that will be very, very small. That is intercrystal porosity. Okay, just try to remember this definition. And moldic porosity. It is actually a type of dissolution porosity, in carbonate rocks. Okay, it is moldic is same. The process for molds is same as the dissolution, but it will be in somewhat different in carbonate rocks. Okay, moldic porosity is present in carbonate rocks. All these four are present in carbonate rocks. Okay, the type of dissolution porosity in carbonate rocks resulting in molds. Yes, yes. Original grains are fossils. The molds is, how can I define mold? It is actually somewhat dissolving of the mineral. Okay, those are called molds. I think I will best explain it to you with a photo if possible. Okay, and just you don't have to remember this, just understand what is this and what does it relate to. Okay, this type of porosity is mainly related to carbonate rocks. If any of the if the wording of the porosity is very different, see, this is penetral porosity. You might have not heard while studying that. If you have any word, try to relate it with carbonate rocks only. It mainly relates to carbonate rocks. This penetral porosity is also known as bird's eye porosity. Try to remember it. Algal mats. I'll just try to make you understand using any images if possible. And I think I have already explained to you what are works. Works are inside grains. These are works. If there is a grains inside it, there will be a dissolving of the mineral and works will be formed. Those are works. They're generally present in carbonate rocks. Molds are fungus that grows at cellular level. Okay. I don't think so, Ayush, but I will get back to you. I don't think that there are something different from it. Okay. Okay, I think you best write down these four types of porosity. Okay, I think majority of the questions won't be asked in here, but based on different types of porosity, a question can be asked. I will just give the question to you and try to solve and try to answer it yourself. I think everybody have note on this one. If not, you can message me in the live chat. Yeah, see, the moldic pores created by the dissolution of shells. Okay, okay. I try to note on this one. I'll give some time. And you don't need to remember. I'll just explain it to you. What are the moldics and penetrator and any other things in the next slide. And try to understand what is microporosity, intergranular, intragranular. Okay, that's very important. Okay, is it completed? Bird's eye porosity. Okay, I'll be going to the next slide. Kalyan, is it okay? Is it over? Okay, if any other students have any doubts, you can ask in the live chat or you can raise the hand. Okay. Okay. Try to note down this one also. It will be helpful if you forget this class, and if in the near future you can just revisit this. And you can note down this one also again. Try to note down again also. No problem. Try to write it down again, because I tried to give as simple as possible. See, each grain is separated, giving a similar pore arrangement as sandstone. Intergranular. That is, this is intergranular. Sorry, interparticle. Pore space created inside the grains, individual grains which are interconnected. Okay. Intercrystallins produced by spaces between carbonate crystals. I think you can see here only. See, intergranular is, yeah, moldic porosity. Actually, see, pores created by the dissolution of cells. Suppose in the formation there are some organic components. Due to some other thing, it has been dissolved. The pore volume created by dissolution of that organic matter or shells is called molds. That is mold porosity. Okay. And fracture porosity, I think you know, and channel porosity and foggy porosity. Okay. Molds are dissolved after dissolving of the minerals or shells present in the formation. Some pore spaces will be formed. Those are called molds. Okay, but unconnected. See, works are also a dissolution of fragments or any shells also, but they are disconnected. They are totally isolated. Whereas molds can be connected. Okay, try to note down, note, write down this one. Actually, we try to give porosity entire subject from basic to advanced, and what are you have to remember, and in one place only. Okay. In the near future, if you want to study porosity by referring your notes, it will be enough. You no need to study any other book. Okay. But we are suggesting you to study other books, so your conceptual level will increase apart from the notes. Okay, we'll give you the books to study. Okay, I think you have completed this. Let's get into the next one. Okay. Yeah, this is the question. Try to solve this question and answer it. Okay. Try to answer this question. Yeah. See, if you correctly answer this question, this entire lecture that I have explained it to you has been understood by you. Okay. Try to answer this. And give your answer in the live chat button. See, go point by point. What do you mean by dissolution? I told you what is inter and what is intra. I also gave you what is microporosity and what is fracture porosity. Okay, these are the type of questions that generally asked in GATE examination. They'll just try to test your conceptual skills. How well did you understand the concept? Okay. Okay, has everybody answered it? See, try to answer, everybody. Even if it's wrong, it's no problem. Try to answer it. Okay. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. If you want to voice access, I will give you so you can ask the doubt. why this is why from your point of view this is wrong. You can ask me why, as I've already explained it to you, why from that point of view why it is wrong. Okay, try to answer this question. By the time we complete porosity, you should be able to solve any type of questions regarding porosity. Okay, we have already covered various different types of questions in porosity. Okay, see, I'll tell you. First, let's go to the D. As a little between the grains. So this is these are the grains, and between them there are several other grains, and between them the pore spaces, that is microporosity. And 3D. So this is wrong. If you can see here, it is showing a fracture. So it relates to the fracture. 4C, 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 and this is wrong. And if you go to the B, see, if you can see here, these are the grains. It has been dissolved and small layers has been formed. So it means 1, B1. So answer is D. A2 intragranular. See, I think everybody has understood this. The answer is D. See, these are the main grains, and between them there are small grains. Okay, and so I think everybody given answer here, right? See, why A is wrong? Because one is it has given as dissolution porosity. If you can see here, the rock has been dissolved. Means a small layers has been formed in the grains. That is due to dissolution of the interaction between the fluid and solids. So it comes under dissolution porosity. Okay, so the answer is D. Okay, does anybody have any doubt? And this is a very important question. You have to able to distinguish between the different types of porosity. Okay, let's get into the next part. Yeah, these are generally the range from how much to how much the the porosity exists for different rocks. For fractured rocks, when compared with unfractured rocks, the fractured rocks will have high porosity. Okay, you don't have to remember this part. We just gave you to look at it. And for gravel, sand, sandstone, silt, and one of the thing you have to remember is, wait a minute. See, you have to remember this one, this order. It's very, very important. Porosity order for rocks. Okay, yeah, try to answer yourself. Shale, yeah, go from low to high. You have to answer. Yes, 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 yes. You don't need that, but try to solve this question. Go from high to low, and place B. Carbonates, C. Sands, D. Sandstones, E. Give the porosity order for from low to high. Try to solve this question. And you have to remember this one only. I'll just try to give the answer after you have solved this. Okay. Porosity order for rocks. You have to remember this order. And you have to just remember this order. It will be enough for you. Kalyan ECDAB. So the grow from low porosity to high porosity. Okay, low porosity to high porosity. This is the only order you have to remember. Okay, no need. You don't have to remember any other orders, porosity orders. Okay, try to remember only this order. AECB. Okay, I'll just give you the order. Just try to remember this. I think as I already know, shale has very least porosity. If I have explained the petroleum exploration, it will be easy for you to solve this. But we have started with petroleum petrophysical properties of rock, so no problem. Just try to remember this. Shale, after that carbonates, after that sandstones. Yeah, you have to remember this order. It's very important. After that clays, after that sands. Okay, clays, carbonates, sandstones, clays and sands. Okay, this is the order you have to remember. Important order. Important order. And don't forget, shale is the no. Shale will have less porosity. No. That's not right. As shale are sandstones, but clay is cementation. No. Actually, you're thinking wrong. Wait a minute. The clays will have cementation. Don't think that is the clay that is generally available in our streets. That is not the clay. They're actually the crane. The order, the clays are defined as various other things. The clays we you say is on the streets when we dug up some mud, we'll get the clay, right? That's not the clay. The clay is actually as per geological definition, it is defined as per the grain size. Okay, it is defined as per the grain size. The clays and sands are defined as per the grain size. I'll actually explain it to you in petroleum exploration. The best explain it to you. Okay, but for now, try to remember this order, porosity order. Okay, this is porosity for rocks. Okay, the clay is has a separate definition in geological terms. Okay. Yes, I think so. Okay. I think everybody has noted on this one. Shale, carbonates, sandstones, clays and sands. Okay. Okay. I think we have completed porosity. Okay. If any other students have any other doubts. Okay. I'll give you voice access. If you can ask me through voice also, no problem. I'll give you access. If you raise your hand, I'll give you voice access. You can ask the doubts. Okay. You can ask me if you want. Or from that, for tomorrow, try to solve these 8 questions. So in Abhijit Dandekar, actually there are 8 questions. Okay. Try to solve these questions. Try to solve these questions. Okay. Try to solve these 8 questions. We will discuss these questions tomorrow. If nobody have any doubts in these questions, we won't discuss it. But if any other student have any doubts or any other thing, we will discuss these questions. Okay. And after that, yes, come assignment. I have given one assignment in helium porosity meter. Try to do porosity meter. Try to do that assignment. After that, try to solve these 8 questions. We will discuss these questions tomorrow. Okay. And don't forget, incorporate these questions in your numerical book that I have already told. I have told you, right? Have 3 books. One is this class notes. The second one is after giving you the assignment, we told you to the study Abhijit Dandekar and Tarak Ahmed, right? If you find any new topics in that books, try to incorporate that book, that notes in your book, in your self notes. And the third one is which I have only numericals. try to incorporate these 8 questions in your numericals, in your numerical book. Okay, and do example 8, 1 and 2 in Tariq Ahmed. If you complete this, apart from these two books, if you have any other books, read. If you complete these two assignments today, and if you have any time left, try to read as any other books apart from these two books also. Try to refer for porosity in different books. Okay, not only these two books, try to different books in different books. And because if you go by topic after completion of porosity, go search for in all the books if there is any concept related to porosity and incorporate in your self notes. Okay, if there are any numericals, solve the numericals and add it in your numerical book. Okay, but for tomorrow, solve these 8 questions with the helium porosity meter I have given, and also solve the arrangement. I think you have measured. I forgot to mention yesterday the arrangements, that is for rhombohedral and hexagonal. How do we derive it? Okay, these two, the helium porosity meter question and the 8 questions. Okay, how much time did we take? I think it's almost 2 meters. Okay, if you want, I can continue this class for permeability also. Does any of the students have? We'll shift the class for tomorrow, or do we want to continue? Okay, but for tomorrow, try to solve these 8 questions and helium porosity meter question. If you want, right now I'll continue with permeability. Shall I continue the class with permeability? Okay, for tomorrow we'll continue. Okay, but don't forget to solve these 8 questions. Okay, these 8 questions on helium porosity meter. And yes, somebody asked some doubts in. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yes. Yeah, Ayushpur, I will explain it to you tomorrow. Okay, try to think about it. Think about the question. Okay, actually, some of the student have asked me a doubt. I told him I will explain it to you in the last. Who is it? Is some of the student has asked me a doubt. Share something. WhatsApp maybe for these questions. If some of the student during the class has asked me a doubt, I told him I will explain in the end of the session. If any other student have any doubt. Yeah, Raj Krishna Cycla. Raj Krishna. Yes, Raj Krishna. Do you have any doubt? I take that as a no. Okay, we'll continue the class tomorrow. And you can leave the class, but for tomorrow, try to solve these questions. If any of the students have any doubt, they can ask me via live chat or private messages also. No problem. Yes, this is things. Okay, no doubts. I think nobody has any doubts. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can call to the Petrodas Academy number. I have a doubt. Okay, Girish, what is it? What is your doubt? Yeah, Girish, the voice access has been given.
Hello. Is it audible? Is it audible?
Yes, Girish, you can talk.
Hello. Is it audible?
Yes, yes, Girish. What is our doubt?
Uh, okay. Like it's mentioned in the Abhijit Dandekar.
Yes, yes. Okay,
Like
the dead end post, right?
no. The clay
Huh?
is a cementation material, and as the cementation increases, porosity will be
Porosity
decreased.
decreases. Yes, yes, yes. That's right.
And you have mentioned like clay has more porosity than sandstone.
Yes, yes.
But,
Actually, I told you right. The cementation of the clay, what you are thinking about clay is the definition is
okay.
wrong. It is not
Okay.
cementing clay.
I can get it. Clay as
That,
a rock, clay as a cementation material. Both
no,
are
no.
different.
Yes, yes. Clay is different. Actually, what you are thinking about clay is the thing in the child we used to play, right. That is not clay. The clay is actually defined as per the grain size. In sandstones, there are actually wide range of rocks present in it. There are sandstones, mudstones, uh, uh, and various other things. Apart from that, clays also, clay stones, sandstones, mudstones, and
Okay.
granular stones, and like that. There are actually various things present in sandstones. There is actually wide range of uh, things related to sandstones. What will be
Mm.
happening is they are actually defined by the grain sizes. The grain size of clay is very small. I think so. It is actually defined by the grain size. Okay,
Okay.
it is same as sandstone, but the grain size is different.
Okay.
Okay,
I got it.
Girish.
I got it. I got it.
Okay. Any other doubt?
Uh, Nothing as such. But like
Did,
while discussing helium porosity meter,
yes. Which question?
while discussing helium porosity meter,
Yeah, helium porosity meter.
uh, I had a doubt, but after the fourth point, the diffusivity of helium, it got cleared.
Okay. And have you wrote down every note present in the PPT?
Like, I wish to know, like, uh, for the first lecture,
Okay.
which you have thought,
Yes.
what book should I refer? Like for
Yeah,
the
actually,
first,
I gave the book right. Abhijit Dandekar and Tarak Ahmed. Actually, for
uh,
porosity, apart from
uh,
these two, try to complete these 8 questions and try to complete this Abhijit Dandekar porosity chapter.
I completed
Poros-
it.
Porosity chapter in both the books. After completing that, try to solve these 8 questions. We'll discuss the 8 questions tomorrow. Apart from
Okay,
that, if you have any doubts, try to complete any other books related to that. Okay. We'll
okay,
go topic by topic. By
yes.
after completion of porosity, you no need to study porosity. If you want to study, you just have to refer your book. Okay. Try to
Okay,
read as many books as possible related to porosity. What we are suggesting is first complete these two books. Okay.
sure.
Okay. If any other student have any other doubts, I'll give voice access. They can ask.
Uh, that's all. That's it.
Okay, that's
Thank you.
all. Okay. I think if any other students has any other doubts. Okay. We'll continue the class tomorrow. And yes, and try to solve the 8 questions. We'll discuss the 8 questions tomorrow also. So no problem. And tomorrow we'll start permeability. Okay. Okay then. Yes. Goodbye. Okay.